With ONE D&D coming, I'm sitting here wondering what its impact is going to be, and if all of the new subclasses that come out in the future will really be compatible, or if it'll completely overpower the older edition ones. I'm also wondering how much money I'm going to spend on all these new books for subclasses I'll truly never have time to play. Well, who am I kidding? I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to share with you how I spent over 10 hours doing research, about 15 hours editing this video, and looked through 50,000 survey responses, all to try to explain what power creep is, and if ONE D&D really is going to ruin the older edition. And hopefully all of this will prepare you to DM your next campaign with one of those new subclasses and how it stacks up against one of the old ones. Apparently, because I love to torture myself and do all of this instead of having a work-life-sleep balance. Yeah. But the end result for this one is going to absolutely shock you. I didn't expect it at all. Finally, I'm going to be using charts, graphs, numbers, and data to support all of my findings. It's basically going to be like a high school presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah, just click the... Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is AJ, and welcome to First Time DM. So let's talk about power creep. For those people who are sitting at the tables playing D&D, you most likely have played video games in your life. Power creep traditionally comes from different RPG games, MMOs, and things like that. Anything which receives subsequent updates and tends to, let's say, overpower itself through time. Now, that is actually something that can affect Dungeons & Dragons, because Dungeons & Dragons relies on the one core rule set, and it has subsequent subclasses coming out over time. Now, this wouldn't usually be a concern, but one, you have to pay for these books as they come out. It's not like these things are given out for free. And two, it has to be compatible with 5e. Otherwise, your new book that's coming out is going to obsolete those old subclasses and those old rules, which just isn't what Wizards said. I mean, those guys, they would never lie to us, though. Right? Now, there's over 100 subclasses, which is insane to think about. And I still can't choose one for the next character I'm going to play. But regardless, when you think of these newer editions of Tasha's and Xanathars, they really cranked up how powerful they were. Like the Twilight Cleric or Peace Domain Cleric. She's just so strong. If you compare these back to some of the older editions, like the Purple Dragon Knight Fighter, or the Beastmaster Ranger. Come on, guys. If anybody actually played those and they're not that terrible, let me know in the comments. I really want to hear that. When you compare them just side by side, it is a vast disparity of how utterly broken these newer classes are. But, I mean, is that the power creep that we should be worried about with new ONE D&D? Why do we have power creep? Honestly, we have power creep because Wizards is a company. They have to entice new individuals to go out and purchase their materials. If they released a book that just had the King Riz Warlock, which its main ability was to show how many Instagram followers it had to charm people, no one would buy that. They have to make it interesting. Usually they do this by cranking up how good it is. What is a good subclass, or what is a bad subclass? Honestly, I don't think there's that many bad subclasses. I love optimization as the next guy, but truly, D&D is all about having fun around the table. As long as you guys are having fun, you're doing great. But to understand what good is and make sure we're not experiencing power creep, I looked at a survey of over 50,000 responses. And I don't have that follower count, and I had to borrow this from Dungeon Dudes, which they took 2 years to make. And at the 1% chance that these guys ever find this video, just want to say I love you guys so much, love your content, really hope this is cool with you. Now let's talk about the results. What we do is we take a look at how many times people have ranked these subclasses as S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and what book they actually came out in. And honestly, as you can see, these are actually pretty average across the board. Now, my understanding, based on all the content I've seen, all the games I've played, I've noticed that recently these newer editions are coming out with stronger classes, subclasses. Now, that's just not shown in these results. And now when we look across the board, comparing Tasha's to the player's handbook, they have about the same percentage of S tier classes. This is absolutely insane, because just like you lovely people, I thought to myself that the Tasha's classes were busted, weren't even playable compared to the player's handbook classes. When I think about the classes that I've played myself, like the Bladesinger Wizard, it is very, very strong. But when I compare that to a Divination Wizard, it's also apples to apples, which is just so crazy to me, but it gives a little bit more credit to Wizards for releasing more balanced content. What we do see smack dab in the middle, though, is a little bit of an outlier. Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide just came out with some of the worst subclasses, so we'll just have to keep that in mind for the future data. Now, looking into the results a little bit more, we can even see that when you look at Xanathar's and Tasha's, the C tier actually starts to decrease a little bit, meaning the community is actually liking the subclasses more. They're thinking that they're better or stronger, and to me that's great. I just don't want to see those D tier classes keep increasing. Now, the other interesting way to look at this is look at it as classes over time. And this is going to be a data explosion, so just feel free to pause it. While you pause it, you could also hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. That'd be really cool. Now, when we take a look at the Barbarian, everybody thinks of the Totem Bard. That is why it hit such a peak with that S tier class. And now we see the same thing with the Bard. We saw the lower Bard hitting that S tier, being such a good subclass, but we also saw it with the Eloquence Bard, which just came out. Now, Clerics are super interesting because they have so many subclasses, so their data is more averaged over time, and they had some good ones in the Player's Handbook, but they're starting to really spike up in the new releases. Druids follow a similar path, with the Player's Handbook having a lot of the S tier, a lot of the better subclasses, and it kind of trending down over the time. Fighter is one of the most uniques. It's kind of plateaued. It's just doing okay. So as new books come out, hopefully the Fighter gets a little bit more love. Now, Monk is about average, same story, but with the rework, it could be completely different. I don't know how people are going to approach this one. Maybe have to retry every subclass with the new key features or discipline point features, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Paladins actually have been losing some love with the recent updates, getting a little bit worse, going from S to A with their great Vengeance Paladin and other awesome Paladin subclasses in the PHB, to more like A to B with the recent releases, which is okay. I mean, yeah, their Paladin's still such a great class. And now Ranger was one of the most talked early classes in the game, but has gotten so much love, especially from Xanathar's and Tasha's. And the Rogue is a plateauing class again, going head to head with its Soul Knife and Arcane Trickster, both great subclasses, and there's other ones mixed in there. Now, the Sorcerer is getting way stronger, with its Divine Soul and its Clockwork Soul in recent releases. This is the same with the Warlock, with its Genie Warlock and Hexblade compared to the original ones, like the Fiend. They're great still, but more of the more recent releases are getting updates. And if this class gets an update in the next Unearthed Arcana, it could be like the Monk, where it completely changes the playstyle. And finally, the Wizard seems to be going up a bit, which is very interesting because it also has tons of subclasses, meaning the average is a lot more distributed. Now to summarize, honestly, this was very interesting to me. I always think about new releases, Wizards wanting to make money, wanting to grow their business. They're going to keep on just trying to top what they did before. Now, they're doing that, yes, but they're giving it more flavor, and they're less looking at the numbers, which I really appreciate because it means that I don't have to go out and buy a book or make all my friends buy books just so that they don't feel behind. Now, to me, when the classes start getting looked at and those start to change, I might have to remake this entire video. But that's okay, because power creep is a thing, and it's just not going to make that big of an impact.
Now, this is until ONE D&D comes out with some crazy stuff that's 5, 10, or 50 times better than the player's handbook.
And trust me guys, this isn't a guide on what you should play or shouldn't play, what book you should buy or shouldn't buy. I'm just not that kind of guy. Do what you guys like. It's going to be fun with your friends, just hanging out, having a good time. Once again, everybody, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video. I want to thank the Dungeon Dudes. I used about 50 of their videos to just make this one, so really appreciate you guys. For anybody else out there who's watching these videos, I really hope you have amazing sessions. These help you run your games, they make it more interesting, and they make you have a better time. Really appreciate everybody out there. This has been AJ with First Time DM. Cheers.